Now, I remember the day that UCLA called me up and told me that my wife, well, essentially wasn't going to make it and that she had maybe about a day left, and that they had to call it. And if this is the first time seeing me, well, I was married to an alcoholic for 25 years, my wife, and she passed away from alcohol use disorder about 4.5 years ago. And the day before, the hospital called me up. I was working as an insurance agent. I had my own brokerage, and I had just finished a rather large presentation at the Riverside Medical Clinic, just outside Moreno Valley. It was actually kind of an up day. Was having a good morning. It was probably 11 o'clock, and they called me. And I'll never forget it. It was just because I had seen so many phone calls in the last month, and it was just said UCLA, and I just went, oh. So I immediately walked outside in the back of the medical center, and there was just kind of a quiet area. I was outside, and they basically said that that they've gone through 12 operations. She has too much infection in her organs because her stomach had ruptured when she fell down a flight of stairs at her seventh rehab. And there's a lot of the fecal matter had just infected really all her organs, and she was already in a weakened state. So essentially, what really finished it off was her low blood pressure, and she had a lot of toxic shock just from all the infection. And you tack that onto an already weakened state from the alcohol and years of abuse. And it was a very sad moment. And really, after getting over the surreal moment of talking to someone that's, telling you that your wife's not going to make it, I remember saying thank you, and he was very cordial. I don't remember the doctor's name. You don't remember stuff like that. It's really just a voice on the other end of the phone. I remember standing there alone at the back of this medical center outside and just kind of going, wow, what next? I mean, I was entering a realm I'd never been to. And just as a family member, it's a scary place. The overall emotion is there's a big part of relief. You finally have some kind of finality to the madness that you've been through, certainly the last 6 or 7 years of her life. And now you have a conclusion to how the next chapter is going to go on in your life and in your wife's life. This is it. This is the end of the road. And as much help and as much support and as much love as a man to God, it seemed the worse and worse that she did get over time, as it is a progressive disease. Now, the things that I did after that phone call, I'll continue. I remember the first phone call I made was to her mother, actually her parents, and her mother picked up. And she was, "Oh, good. I'm glad you called. We want, give us an update to what's going on." And I said, "Well, it's not good. There's nothing else they really can do. Her blood pressure has sunk into a very, very, very sad state, and they're giving her maybe a day left to live." And her mother just got kind of quiet. And I think what I really took from that is, I think myself and everybody else in her and her life had really come to the resignation that this really was the end of the road, that we'd already accepted this long before that. And it's a difficult place for family members to be, because you can see it happen. It's a progressive disease, and it's really no big surprise when it does happen. But the reality is not any easier. And if there's anybody out there who's in this kind of situation and this kind of video resonates with you, understand that if you're an alcoholic, the reality of what you put your family through and yourself, I hope this motivates you to reinvent yourself and take a different road, and to make your sobriety the single most important thing in your life, and not just for yourself, for your family, and for your lineage, for your own children, and for your children's children's children, because you don't want to be the legend of the one who didn't make it, and be the cause for other people's pain in future. The second phone call I made was to my son, and he was in college. And I called him up, and he was kind of apprehensive, because I think he sensed it. You sense these things. And he goes, "Hi, Dad." I go, "Hey, Griff, how's things going?" I go, "I'm not too good. Griff, I don't think your mom's gonna make it." And I remember him just take a deep breath, and he started he started crying a little bit, and and again, he was resigned to it too. That's the sad, that's the hard part, is that he was resigned, and he was away at college, and he hadn't come down to see her. There really hadn't been any point. I mean, the last month of her life, she was essentially heavily medicated and essentially in a coma, so there wasn't any point in pulling him out of college. But it was tough because he was up there by himself, and we did have him come down the week later for her farewell, get together that I had at the clubhouse. But it was a tough phone call. And I think the real takeaway from that day was that the end of the circus had come, and that we were all there was a big sense of relief that we know, at least I knew that we no longer had to worry, and we knew where she was. And if you have a family member going through this, if you're going through this yourself, understand. I hope you take a better road than the road my wife took, and if we learn from her in this experience, I hope it's all worthwhile. Again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I may start going twice a day right around 1 o'clock as well, as we're promoting her, my wife's memoir, Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. We also have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Please join that. Link is again in the link tree. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, click on the link, set up a breakthrough call. Call takes about 45 minutes to an hour. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course, definitely not. But I'm looking for people who want to change their lives and the lives of their family. And again, thanks so much for listening.